Hey, good morning. Donald Miller's Electrical Services. It is January 16th. Happy New Year. I believe this is my first video of the year. All right. So, homeowners and knob and tube. All right, and this isn't the first time this situation I'm about to mention has happened. So I wanted to just be forewarned, okay? Because the moment the closing of a house happens, leverage is gone for the buyer. Like, yes, you can hire an attorney and go back and seek retribution or seek punitive damages. I understand that, but it's a lot of legwork, okay? And a lot of new home buyers or new homeowners already have their plate filled and they're stressed, and a lot of times they get taken advantage of. So if you're dealing with knob and tube and you're the potential buyer, okay, take the credit and you deal with the contractor. I can't stress this enough. Do not let the seller deal with the contractor, okay? The seller's motive is to sell the home and do whatever they need to do to sell the home. It has nothing to do with quality. It has everything to do with how cheap. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the motive of the seller, is to fix the problems with as little money as possible because it's coming out of their pocket, okay? So just realize the motive of the seller is to fix problems for as little as possible. The motive of the buyer is to fix problems correctly. And there's a big difference there. And I think a lot of people are naive to that and they get burned, okay? So we have a client right now, all right? And we went in to estimate the job when the house was for sale, and it was a $30,000 rewire. Plain as day, decent sized home, $30,000 all day long, and it's not a high number, okay? I know what my numbers are. I know every single labor hour that goes into a rewire to produce a good quality rewire. Nothing extravagant, just a quality product, okay? And our white glove is a quality product. We have good floor protection, which is ram board, it's pressed cardboard, it's taped together, spot on to protect hardwood floors. Nothing gets through it. It beads up water for 24 hours, and it takes maybe 2 days to install the whole house, and it takes 1 day to break it down. Okay, so it's nothing crazy. All right. You do a proper remediation where you don't damage the plaster. Okay. Again, it's a little extra effort, but you're not going to damage the plaster if you use the correct tools. Plaster repair. We don't use drywall. We don't use fillers. We do proper repairs to plaster. We wipe the house down when we're done, so it's all nice and clean. Okay, that's all we're doing, all right? So when we quote 30, okay, there's other competitors that are going to be lower than us if they're not cleaning or if they're not doing floor protection. So it's up to the consumer to understand their numbers. If you're the buyer, okay, it's better off that you take the credit and then you go hire your electrician to rewire the knob and tube the moment it goes to settlement, okay? One, you're gonna want good floor protection so the floors don't get all messed up. You're gonna want proper plaster repair because by all means, if you're buying a plaster home and the seller hired someone cheap, you don't know what's gonna happen to that plaster in a year or two, okay? Especially if they had someone come in and put some joint compound everywhere to hide all the cracks, okay? The hidden cracks are going to expose themselves. So you have this beautiful old home that you move into, and 6 months down the road, a crack appears. A year, 4 cracks appear. 2 years, 10 cracks appear. And that's kind of the problem when you do a knob and tube remediation. You have to make sure you take care of the plaster correctly. So if you're the buyer, you don't want the seller dealing with knob and tube. So what we had here was we gave a quote for the rewire. We didn't get the job, not a big deal, okay? And the house went through the sales transaction. The buyer calls me up and they're like, do you mind doing another evaluation on the home? I'm like, didn't you have the work done? And they're like, yeah, we had the work done, but we don't know if he actually did the correct job, which is a little weird, okay? We went over there on the first floor and the second floor. Not one part of the knob and tube was remediated. New outlets were put in, same knob and tube in the wall. New switches were put in, same knob and tube in the switch boxes. New plates were put on to hide all the lack of the work that they did. So if you walked in as a potential buyer, everything looked new. The moment you take those switch plates off, you're exposing all the original work that was never done. They literally did not rewire the knob and tube in any way, shape, or form. Okay. So luckily, when we do our estimates, we take photos of our estimate because it's an evaluation. And then we take photos of the second evaluation. So, line item for line item, we can show you what was done prior to the sale of the home, what was done after the sale of the home, and show you that the work wasn't done. All right. But if the buyer's stressed out and the buyer doesn't want to deal with attorneys, that's all, unless the seller and the realtors agree that they messed up, which that doesn't always happen. Yeah, I've had sellers, come back and say, we're sorry, we thought the guy did the work, here's a check, have a nice day. But that doesn't always happen. You get people that, they don't care. They're out. They made their money, whether they did it on purpose or whether they did it maliciously or innocently, they're out. They're like, you want money from us? Go get a lawyer. And it's just a shame as a buyer. Now you're in this home and you're trying to start this house on a path to whatever you want it to be, whether it be renovation work or whatever. And now you have to seek legal counsel and then go after the sellers. Okay. And yes, this is an open and shut case. If you get this case is so bad that the DA should get involved because it's I think there could be the potential for fraud. Okay. That's my opinion. I'm not getting involved in that. Okay. My job is, if you want the knob and tube remediated, my price still stands. He did nothing to the house. He did nothing. Okay. Oh, he replaced the basement lighting and he hid any knob and tube that was visible in the basement to make it look like it was rewired. That's what he did in the basement. So yes, he removed visible knob and tube in order to get the house to sell. Okay. So we did that. But the moment it's upstairs, it's all knob and tube. And now these buyers have to face the fact that they don't have a rewired home. It's all knob and tube. And they have a decision to make. And yes, if they do hire an attorney, this is a slam dunk, easy case. I don't know who they're going to go after, whether it be the realtors. There's a lot of people that they could go after. It's that blatantly obvious, okay? It's really bad. But it's just an added burden to them. And if they don't feel like doing that, then they're going to pay for a remediation and go forward from here. And just, it was a bad experience. Okay. The seller said that they were going to handle it. It's on all the documentation that the seller was responsible for it. But if people are stonewalling, then you have a choice to make. Either hire an attorney or just walk away. But if you're a buyer, if you're the potential buyer of a home, do not let the seller deal with the knob and tube. This has been going on. This isn't the first time this has happened. I've had people hide knob and tube for years. I've had realtors claim ignorance and be like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I've heard inspectors say BX wire isn't part of the knob and tube system. That's wrong. That lost in court. Okay. BX wire, the old BX wire, was the original feeders for knob and tube. So it's integrated into the knob and tube system. So when you're doing a knob and tube remediation, okay, BX wire is part of the knob and tube system. You can't say that BX wire has a ground. The NEC code book clearly states it does not. All right. So all these problems can be eliminated, especially if you're buying an old home, which are awesome. I love old homes. I live in a house built in the 1700s. Old homes are amazing, okay? But you have to realize only about 15% of the contractors out there know how to work on them correctly. And I'm serious. There's so many people that don't have a clue how to work on an older home, all right? So if you're a buyer and you're buying an older home, don't let the seller hire contractors. You take on that burden and you hire contractors. You negotiate whatever comes off the value of that home so you can bring in your team, okay? Because you're going to pick your team based on integrity, quality, the honesty of the contractor. The seller's going to pick those people based on price and how cheap they can do it for. And it's in their motive to do so. They're trying to sell the home, all right? I just feel bad for buyers that are going through this. And I have some great customers today because of situations like this, and they call me. I have some great clientele. We service every house we've rewired. We offer a service package going forward where we'll come out at discounted service call rates, discounted rates so we take care of our homes. We don't just guarantee our work, but we're willing to service the home with any electrical needs they have in the future going forward. All right. Our company has been around for over 23 years. We give the best advice possible, and my guys are paid fairly. All right. So just, you buyers, be careful. All right. It can get nasty out there. All right. God bless. Take care. Be careful.